Okay guys, I couldn't run away from it any longer. For the last 12 months, our guest room has become a dumping ground for stuff. It just had to be decluttered, and I just had to stop running away from it. At the weekend, I thought, enough's enough, let's just get on with it. Let me stop procrastinating and actually get going with decluttering this one room. And one of the areas that required a lot of attention in this room was our clothes. We had more than a dozen bags full of clothes that were just clothes from years ago, just things that just needed our attention in some way in order to get that room looking a lot better. And in short, the room just needed to be decluttered. And so I started. I'd carry one bag, I'd go from that guest room all the way to our bedroom, and I'd tip it onto our bed, and I'd start that process of decluttering. But something really interesting happened as I carried on this process of just going through our bags of stuff. It occurred to me that there are lessons here to be learned on how we can better save money and invest money, but from this perspective of decluttering our lives. So today I want to share with you guys from my own personal life 5 ways decluttering makes you better at saving and investing. If you are really enjoying this video and you love the concept of today's video, hey, hit the subscribe button and show us some support and love here at The Humble Penny. I'd love for you also to please hit the like button because that really helps to encourage this video to be shared with as many people as possible. Don't forget to also share this video with one other person, maybe on WhatsApp or whichever way you normally reach out to your friends and family. Okay, let's dive straight in and look at these 5 ways that decluttering helps you to become better at saving and investing. Okay, so number 1 is to stick with what matters, okay? So practically, once I started this process of decluttering, I'd take one bag and I'd tip stuff out. I had all these clothes everywhere. It helped me a lot to have a process for deciding what am I actually going to keep and what should I not keep. So for example, I'd say things like, if I haven't worn this piece of clothing for more than 12 months, hey, give it away. Or if it's got a rip and I don't really like it very much, I might want to get rid of it. And then finally, if I've worn it in the last 6 months, then why not? I'm more likely to hang on to that piece of clothing because it really matters in some way for my future life. Something about having that simple rule really helped me by removing the emotion from my decision making. The same thinking can be applied to our investing lives. If we're being honest, a lot of us make knee-jerk investing decisions without actually thinking a great deal about them. And some of us are hanging on to investments that we know are really not serving us and have no place in our future lives whatsoever. Coming up with a simple rule like I did when I was decluttering can help you actually remove the emotion from that decision and help you come up with a way of deciding whether something's a bad investment and therefore has no place in your future life, or whether something else, on the other hand, is a good investment and is something that you should support for your future. The second way decluttering helps us to become better at saving and investing is to start small but stay consistent. You see, when we decided that we were going to declutter our home, right? So for some perspective, we live in a 4-bed house as a family of 4. And in addition to the 4 bedrooms, we've got a kitchen, obviously, a living room, a dining room, and things like that, right? So ordinarily, thinking about decluttering the whole house seemed so overwhelming. Where on earth do you even start? However, when we decided to focus on just one room at a time, it suddenly felt so much more manageable. It felt like we could just ignore everything else and just hone in on this one area, this one specific area. And once we finish that area, we can then move along and do another part of the house. The same thinking can be applied to investing our money wisely. For a lot of people out there, there's a temptation to want to make money by investing. So many people are investing money, and you probably feel the itch. You really want to go into investing and make as much money as quickly as possible. And what this leads to is the potential temptation for jumping into that next shiny object, that next promising investment that might lead to you losing your life savings. The key to successful investing, particularly if you are a beginner investor, is to start small, but stay consistent. This approach gives you enough time to learn as you go through that process of actually investing your own money. But better than that, it stops you from losing your life savings by doing something you shouldn't be doing because you hadn't done your research, and you potentially then jumped into that investment with all your savings because you wanted to generate a big return. The third tip is to periodically review all you have in your life. You see, there was something really powerful about seeing all my clothes laid out on the bed. It really just made me feel like I was starting to gain some control over this aspect of my own personal life. I was able to look at my clothes by section. I could see this is the stuff I wear just for my YouTube videos, this is the stuff that's just my formal clothing, and this is the stuff that's my super casual stuff for just running around the house. But more specifically, help me decide how much of each category I actually wanted to retain in my life. From an investing perspective, a periodic review of all we've got is a pretty powerful thing to do. Now, I'm not just talking here about just reviewing your investment portfolio. What I'm referring to beyond that is actually zooming out and actually looking at your financial net worth specifically. You can learn a lot from doing such a review. Things such as what investments are actually working the hardest for you specifically in your life right now. And you can also learn what areas you should be putting more of your money into and what areas you should be putting a lot less of your money into as well. Making the time to have that aerial view of your financial life really can make a huge difference for your financial goals. The fourth way is to want less, spend less, and save more. Okay? The thing I learned from decluttering our lives at the moment is that you realize that things are really just that. They're just things. You realize that what was important yesterday ends up not being so important today. And that process of just reflecting on that helps you see that things, when you think about it, really are not that important. Where this becomes really powerful is where this idea of decluttering starts to become a part of who you are. In short, decluttering leads to wanting less things, and wanting less things leads to spending less money and saving more money instead. Okay, so the fifth thing is one that's unexpected. It's this idea of a generational shift and family wealth creation. See, the one thing I hadn't anticipated when we started to declutter our home is what impact it might have on our children specifically. First of all, it was just fun. Seeing dad and seeing mum clearing out different parts of the house and clearing out the rooms and so on. And they got involved with this process of decluttering. Then it became about the spaces. They could see the clear spaces, the rooms looked really nice and really clear. However, the one thing we noticed was a gradual but subtle shift in our children's thinking over this period. They're starting to see the importance of not just buying stuff. And although this is a very subtle and gradual shift in their thinking, this shift really matters for who they are becoming at the moment and who they eventually will become in the very years to come. Our children are now a lot more biased towards wanting to save money and invest money rather than always on autopilot wanting to spend their money as it comes into their hands periodically. We actually see this very subtle shift, this generational shift, as not just important for our own family, but important for your family as well and for our community at large. The more we and our children shift from just acquiring stuff driven by our consumerist culture, the more we will not only improve our immediate environment, but ultimately see more of our money on a monthly basis and work towards creating lasting generational wealth ultimately. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What impact on a really personal level has decluttering had on your personal life? I'd love to know. Let me know in the chat. Very interesting to see the different ways decluttering our lives has improved each and every one of our lives. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. And as ever, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. Take care and bye for now.